You're watching Focus on South Florida.
Welcome back. As you know, the holiday season is here, and it's usually a joyous time for people, but certainly not for everyone. In fact, many of us experience increased anxiety, sadness, even depression, spurred on by family gatherings that can sometimes be very challenging, right? Which is why we're taking some time this morning to talk about ways to cope. Joining me now is Dr. Dara Bushman, a licensed clinical psychologist and national board certified clinical hypnotherapist. Dr. Bushman also has a clinical background in specializing in PTSD, health and wellness, and all kinds of psychology, including eating disorders, women's issues, and hypnosis. Dr. Bushman, welcome. Thanks so much for being with us. Again, a lot to talk about with you as well. Let's start by finding out why so many of us get overstressed this time of year. Do we do it to ourselves?
Well, it's such a nostalgic time of year, and whether we do it to ourselves is, controversial, because really what's going on for people is it's a fluid time of year. How it was for them last year is not the same way that it is for them this year. So people are going through many different situations, whether it be finances or with family, divorces. There's so many changes in life that are always going on, and where people get stuck is wanting it to be the way that it used to be.
Or perhaps the way we think it should be in our minds. Is part of that caused by social media? Everybody else's life looks so fantastic on social media, and when we compare it to our own, it might come up short?
Oh, without a doubt. We're so busy comparing our insides to everybody else's outsides, and now with social media, it's nonstop, and you're constantly seeing pictures of people at their best, and where it used to be Publix commercials with little things on the table, and this idea of holidays being so blissful, and the reality is it is another day. So the same concerns, family challenges, and problems that you had before the holidays, they lead you into the holidays. They don't just go away.
Let's talk about the big issues, loss and loneliness, people who may have suffered a loss during the course of the year, and this is now one of those big anniversaries. How can we help those people, those members of our family and friends, get through a holiday like this?
Communicating and talking with them. There's often a disconnect where we just assume what they want, or think that if they want to be left alone, that's problematic. And for some of us, that is completely okay. So connecting and communicating and just being very direct with people is important, and offering to be there for them, because there's this thing that we think, oh, when someone says to back off, but going and inviting them over and going the extra mile and including them, because this is a new norm for them. How they celebrated it prior is not going to be the way that it is now.
And isn't it true that if you've lost someone in your family, actually being able to talk about them, say their name, have some of those positive memories is a good thing for that person?
Without a doubt. When it comes to grief and loss, often it's just the misconception that we're supposed to just be sad or crying, because people even think if they were to stop crying, that might mean that they forget about them, or that they've stopped loving them. And just continuing to talk about them allows people to have more connection.
So let's talk about those family dinners. Why are they so wrought with anxiety and conflict? Why do we fall apart when those triggers are set off by our parents and grandparents?
Well, expectations. There's this idea that you're gathering around the table and everything is supposed to be blissful and perfect, and the reality is nothing is blissful and perfect, and there's so many different personalities, and everybody has a different idea and expectation, so there's conflict.
So what are some of the tools that we can incorporate in these holiday celebrations so that we de-stress and actually enjoy being together?
Well, number one is having a very clear intention of what you want your holiday to look like and how you want it to be. People are so busy rushing around, and then they're joined together, and the next thing you know, it's just mass chaos. But before you even get to a gathering, set yourself, get an idea, create it in your mind the way that you want it to be, and doing things that would be good to have done. So that way, when you are connecting with people, it's in a way that feels genuine and authentic for you.
And what about those of us who are actually hosting events during the holiday season? I know we get so wound up in wanting it to be just perfect, that the food is right and the drinks are right and everybody is seated next to the right person. How do we let go of some of that so that as a host we can actually enjoy our own part parties.
Well, I think just the way you just did, having some laughter about it and talking about it, because if you're the hostess with the mostest, I think there's this idea that you're not even supposed to bring it up and you're just supposed to be so stoic and everything's so perfect, when the reality is it's hard.
It is hard.
So talking about it and acknowledging it, and once again not thinking that it's just going to be perfect, and being clear with yourself of what you want it to look like, and already knowing the experience that you want to have before you begin it.
And I think also maybe asking people for help. Part of the joy of the holiday is doing things with the people we love, and I think a lot of times we forget to include everybody.
Completely. It's sometimes it's a disservice to our family members around us to not let them help and be included. So you're wanting to do so much for them, but the truth of the matter is, by including them involved with it, can be so much more fun for everybody.
And I know this time of year money is a real issue for a lot of families. They're going into the holidays unable to perhaps meet the expectations of their children. How do we make the kids feel good about Christmas, even if we can't reward them in ways that we would like to?
Well, you're going to be the role model for your kids, and you're going to set the tone. So right away you can talk to kids and create it how you want to. If you're going around talking about all the expensive, lavish gifts that you're going to buy, you're going to expect the same things and the same expectations once again from your children. So teaching them right off the bat that it's about thoughtfulness and creativity, and that can be most fun and give the most opportunity for connection. Making gifts together and being involved with family just the same way is going to be very critical and important.
And can you speak for just a moment about the importance of not overspending yourself during the holiday season?
Well, yeah, setting yourself up with a budget before the season even begins is going to be very helpful. People are overdoing it because they think that that's going to give happiness, and at the end of the day, what's going to give happiness is that connection and doing things, and also keeping creativity in mind again, because holidays don't have to be exactly like a Hallmark commercial. They can be anything you want. Going to the park can be fun for you and your family, and being a host and having people over can be an expensive situation just to right with that as well.
Right. So what, if I'm hearing you correctly, set your expectations within parameters that make sense and find new ways to create these holiday memories.
Create your own memories and your own new traditions.
Dr. Dara Bushman, thank you so much for being with us. Great advice this morning.